Hey, it's Ashley Nicole Kirkwood with the Ashley Nicole Show, where we talk about topics interesting to folks building billion-dollar brands, whether the world knows it yet or not. So I am the podcast host that you want to listen to if you are an entrepreneur, an expert, an industry leader, and you are seeking to build a big brand and you know it's going to impact the world, so you want to protect it. Let's get into it. Hello. Okay, so I am super excited to be here. My name's Ashley Kirkwood. I'm the founder of Mobile General Counsel, the law firm for entrepreneurs building big brands. We represent high-earning entrepreneurs and help them to bulletproof and protect their brands. And we also do some legal strategy. So we'll get into some of that stuff a bit later, but I'm really excited to have this conversation because I made a post on Instagram earlier alluding to the fact that I was going to have this conversation publicly. And what we're going to be discussing and addressing is 3 signs that you need to fire your lawyer, right? And really what this is about are things that you all can look for as you begin to hire attorneys and other professional services professionals. Because what I have experienced over the past couple of weeks through people that we've been able to help is that there's a lot of misinformation and mystery around how do you actually hire an attorney, and then what should you be looking for? Because when you are a business owner and you hire an attorney, you then have to manage that attorney. And so for me, like, I'm not an accountant, but I hire accountants and I have to manage those accountants. So I have to know enough to be dangerous. So this is really for people who are building big brands. They're building brands that require legal protection, which means they are making money in their business. And that money that you make, you want to protect. So we're going to get into it. Number 1 sign you need to fire your lawyer, or think of it as things you can look for when hiring an attorney is if they don't ask questions, run. If they don't ask questions, run. I'm telling you right now, if they do not ask questions, run. It is a telltale sign that you are not about to get top tier counsel. And here's what I mean by this. I can tell more about an individual from the questions that they ask versus the answers that they give. All right. So that's number 1 if you're taking notes. I can tell more about an individual from the questions that they ask versus the answers that they give. When you are first exploring whether or not you're going to hire an attorney, they should be asking you a series of questions that gives them a lens into how you run and operate your business. Specifically, the questions may be concerning and when I say lawyer, business attorney, you're looking for a business attorney. Specifically, the question should be concerning your clients. Who are your clients? Whether they're corporations or individuals, they should be trying to categorize and put them into buckets so that they can start thinking strategically about how they are able to help you protect that revenue that you're bringing in and those clients that you're servicing. So here's what I'll say. When I am talking to a doctor who's opening up a practice, like I have a lot of therapists that we work with, I need to know that they're a licensed therapist. I need to know that they have ethical rules that govern their business. And it's not just, they're out here as a life coach. Now, life coaching is fine, but there are not the same ethical guidelines. Now, there may be some crossover. So for my life coaches, what we have to do is figure out, all right, you're a life coach. How do we protect you from dabbling over into the unauthorized practice of therapy versus therapists? How do we keep you within the ethical bounds? The marketing that you have, are you able to market that way? What are the ethical rules and what are the laws? Because I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of people on social media are marketing and it is not done in a legal manner. I was just reading about a case and I sent it to my associate, the associate at my firm, who is awesome, by the way. So I sent it to her and I was reading about these cases in which the court found that trademark infringement hashtags on social media can be the basis of trademark infringement cases. So there's a lot of people that aren't marketing legally. So we have clients that do amazing marketing campaigns. These are our 7 and 8 figure clients, and they're thinking big. They're like, oh, I want to do this. I want to fly in this. I want to have Beyonce playing in the background. I want to do this, and I want to hit them with the body Megan. Like, it could be all types of stuff that they want to do. And we have to be the ones who are like, yeah, that's mad dope, but let's make sure we can do it legally. Do we need to reach out and get, licensing permissions from other people's teams? What music are you authorized to use? Where did it come from? Did you have it created yourself? That's going to be the best route. What's going on and what can be done legally? So that I think that's something that we're going to touch on when I go to point 3. But number 1, are they asking questions? Are they asking questions? So if you're taking notes or if you're watching and you don't mind dropping stuff in the comments, for number 1, drop in the comments, do they ask questions? Okay. Because first of all, I have talked to people before and I'm like, okay, so you had a business lawyer and they didn't ask about this. They're like, they didn't ask me anything about this. You have to ask questions. And I want you to think about your lawyer in the same way. Well, for an example, right? Think about your lawyer and then think about your doctor. When you go to the doctor's office, okay? And lawyers, if there are lawyers watching, because I know lawyers watch my videos, think about yourself as a physician for the law. If you go to the doctor and you're like, oh, my head hurts, the doctor is going to ask a series of probing questions to find out whether there's anything deeper going on. People come to me every day of the week. Hey, Ash, I need a trademark. They come to me, they need a copyright. And in fact, they also need a trademark. And then they think they need one copyright, they need 5. And then they come and they've never had terms and conditions. But it's my job as the service provider to make sure that I know enough about their business to dig deep and find out where there are health issues, okay? Because guess what, guys? And this is, if you're a service provider at all, and this is your zone of genius, your area of expertise, you should be doing the exact same things with your clients. No one's gonna, I'm never gonna go to the doctor. When you go to the doctor and you get medical bills, they've done all these tests and they've done all this extra stuff. You're like, I didn't ask them to do that. But what if they tell you, and I found something that we can prevent from becoming a huge problem, and it's a really big health concern. But if I hadn't checked it, then it would have been a big issue later on down the line. You'd be happy. You'd be like, oh my God, I'm so glad you found that. I'm so glad you did that additional testing work. I'm so glad you did those things. And for our clients at Mobile General Counsel, the firm that I own and founded, one of the things that I find is that people will even say things like, oh yeah, I have a trademark for that. But then when we pull the trademark, we realize it's suspended or it's been abandoned or it hasn't been done properly. And so we need to dig deep into that. So they should be asking questions. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to just be honest with y'all. Take my sip of water because we about to have a heart-to-heart moment here. Okay. And shout out to Latisse, who helped me get my camera set up together. I'm so excited about this new camera setup. For y'all watching on Facebook, you can see it. But anyways, I digress. One of the things that I'm going to say, if you all are trying to pay your lawyer really, really, really tiny fees, like you don't want to spend more than $1,000. You don't want to spend more than a couple grand, and you're just trying to get the cheapest lawyer possible. Don't go to that lady or that man and say, you're not asking questions. I watched the video and I saw you're supposed to be doing that. They don't even have the time or capacity to do the deep dive that consistent counsel will give you or that a firm like ours provides, because we charge for the level of service that we're going to provide and the level of thoroughness that our clients need, whether they know they need it or not. We're going to make sure that our packages are set up in such a way that we have the time, the capacity, the patience, and the customer experience to do exactly what you need, whether you know what you need or not. Now, if you're price shopping on the legal tip, you ain't gonna get that. I'm gonna just put it out there. You are likely not going to get that. So keep that in mind. And now here's the other thing to look out for. If you're going straight from, I don't know who this lawyer is, I'm going on their website and I'm just paying for the service, I'm paying directly for them to do a trademark. You don't talk to the lawyer. You don't get any calls. There's no legal audit. There's no process by which they can assess your business. I would be wary of that because it's very challenging for me to just see you fill out a form and know exactly what you need, even if it is something like a trademark. And what we've done as a culture, because trademarking and branding has become very cool and hip, which I'm excited about. But what we've done culturally is we've pigeonholed trademarking as something quick and easy, when in fact, it's really not. We need to do a holistic review. Now, sometimes the client won't pay for the additional things that are required to get a trademark done the right way. And that happens. But for the most part, you want to make sure, even if you're on a budget, if you do an assessment with an attorney, we do legal audits, we're going to tell you what we recommend. Whether or not you decide to move forward with that plan of action and make the investment to get that done is on you. But we're going to tell you what we recommend. So you should at least have the knowledge. You want an attorney that's going to always tell you what should be done. Whether or not you decide to do it is on you. But we're going to give you great counsel, great lawyers. They're going to tell you what needs to be done. And guess what? They're going to tell you what they recommend and what needs to be done, regardless of what you come in saying that you need. So you may say, I only want this, but they should at least flag for you some of the things that you need to get done. Whether or not you decide to do them is on you. But I feel in my opinion, it's my responsibility to at least tell you what needs to be done. You may not do it all right away. You may not get it all done off bat, but you should at least have a general idea within the bounds of what we're retained to handle or the time that we have in a legal audit or something like that. We should at least be asking questions to tell you what we see at the surface level. Now, after we're retained, we can dive deeper. We're going to find more things as we work together consistently. So questions is really, 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 really critical. You cannot diagnose a problem if you're not asking questions. questions. Make sure they're asking you questions. Number two reason you need to fire your lawyer. Number two thing you need to look for. If you can never reach them, it's time to go. You have to. So the number two thing is if you can never reach them, it's time to go. So if you're taking notes, just write that in the comments. You have to be able to reach your attorney. Now, what does that mean? Because here's what I mean by that. There needs to be a process by which you can put time on your attorney's calendar. Your attorney, the person that you are paying for legal counsel, right? I'm not saying, I'm not your lawyer, but you just want to reach me at midnight and all this other stuff. And at midnight, that doesn't mean midnight is off limits, right? Like there are business hours, but there is a process by which our clients, when they work with the firm, they have a link that they can use. They get it in their welcome packet. Some of you all are my clients. You're like, did I read the welcome packet? It's in your welcome packet, and it gives you a link where you can actually book time with us, or you can email support@mobilegeneralcounsel.com anytime, and someone will respond and give you a link by which you can put time on the calendar of myself or a member of our team. You can also call our law firm. And I put this out there because people who are even interested in working with us can call the law firm at 312-880-8518. It's also on our website. People don't look at that because I think people are so used to processes now. They're like, I can call? Yes, you can call our law firm. So that is something that we offer as well. You can call the firm, but you want to have a way to reach them, whether it's email, whether it's phone, whether it's something else. Now, if you're emailing and calling and you're not getting a response within 48 hours, that could be a problem. I've actually heard from people who haven't got a response for months. So that's a big problem because some legal issues are time sensitive. And for business owners, one thing that I know in working with 7- and 8-figure brands is you're making decisions quickly. Otherwise, things may slip through the cracks. And we want to be if we're retained, because we have a consistent counsel package where we work with 7- and 8-figure brands consistently every month. They're paying us and we are their attorneys. They get a certain amount of projects every month. We want to make sure we're a part of that process. Okay. And so we want you to call us before something happens. And that's the benefit of having consistent counsel. And not everyone can invest at that level yet. But even if you bought a one-off service, there has to be a way for you to reach your attorney, the person that you're giving money to and paying to handle your legal affairs, at least for the time period for which they are retained, right? So you want to make sure that you have a way to reach them. That's really, really, really critical. And even, people who have other services and they're not lawyers and they're not in this field, have a way for people to reach you. It could be email, it could be social media. One of the things, because I promote on social media and I do these live videos, a lot of people reach out to me in my direct messages. That's not technically the formal way to get a response. However, we check those messages because we promote here. So I'm never going to be offended by someone sending me a direct message. Sometimes it's just the easiest thing to do. We may ask you to email or something like that, but you're going to be able to get a response. And if you don't, feel free to follow up. So if we're not friends on a social platform and you send a message, it may get lost, which is why I'm always recommending email or something like that. But if you are a client of ours, you have signed a contract, we are your retained counsel at Mobile General Counsel, you have several ways to reach us. And we try to affirmatively reach out as well. So if you haven't heard from us within a month or so and you're like, what's going on? You can always call, you can always email. And that's just standard, guys. So you're not being dramatic or extra if you want to be able to have a way to reach your lawyer. And I have worked with service providers who've made me feel like I'm being extra because I asked where my invoice is or I have a question about the contract they send over. And they're like, well, you should just sign on. I'm not dealing with this. Follow my process. Here's the thing. When you are an entrepreneur, when you own a corporation, even when you're the CEO or the founder, it is my opinion, I am of the opinion that you work for the people that hire you. So although you may not clock into a 9 to 5 and get a check every 2 weeks, and even now, I'm on payroll, so I get a check every 2 weeks. Like it all comes full circle. You know what I mean? So I'm on payroll for my company, but one of the things that I look at is like, I'm working for my clients. There's still boundaries. They still have to be respectful, but they have to have a way to reach me. So I'm never offended by that. Number 3, this is a big one. So write this down. So number 2 is if you can never reach them. So write that down if you're taking notes in the comments for others who are joining a little bit later. Number 1 is if they don't ask questions. For those of you just joining, we're just chatting very briefly about 3 signs you need to fire your lawyer, or at least things to look for. And then number 1 was if they don't ask questions, time to go. Number 2 is if you can never reach them, not a good sign. Number 3 is if they lack vision and creativity. If they lack vision and creativity. So let's deal with vision first. Vision. You want to work with people who have vision. There are some people that you talk to, and every time you talk to them, it gets you thinking about new things. That's a sign for me that someone has vision. They can see past where they're at. And those are the types of people that I really like to work with, even if it's like not in a coaching capacity. I want my graphic designers to have vision. I want the people who are doing sales research for me to have vision. That's just something that I personally really value. So if that's something that you value, you want to look to see, are they a big thinker? You can watch some of their live videos. You can see how they move, how they think about the world. Look at some of their posts about family. Are your values aligned? Do they seem like they're growing places? One of the things that I talk a lot about is we work with people who are growing big brands, which means our firm is literally designed to grow with the vision of our clients. You're not going to come in and it's like, well, I've never represented a $1 billion brand. I have. That's my background. I represented big brands. I've seen opulence at very high levels because I work with partners who make $30 million a year at a law firm. I went to Northwestern Law School. The associate counsel that we've hired, who's awaiting bar results as of today's date, she actually went to Duke Law School. Like, there's certain things that you see when you go to these elite schools that you're able to carry over into the work that you do. A part of it is, and if you didn't go to those schools, it's not saying that you're automatically not qualified, but it is saying that you need to work with people who have vision, who have seen some things, who have been some places. And if you can't be in those environments on a day-to-day or go to school or work at the top firms in the world like I have, and go to the top schools in the world like I have, then read some books, listen to some podcasts, do something to ensure that your vision isn't stunted by the environment that you've exposed yourself to. And if you are going to make it limited to that environment, then that environment needs to be pretty darn expansive. Okay. So you want someone with vision. 2, you want someone with creativity. The law is one of those things where it's not black and white, which is why most lawyers will say things like, it depends. Like, you can't give, if someone were to ask me a legal question right now, unless it's like, are federal trademarks real? That's a yes or no question. But for the most part, every single legal issue that any one of you could drop down in the comments is going to be an it depends. There's not a clear answer that you can just provide off rip, which means you have to be able to have some level of creativity to look at the law, look at how courts in the past have interpreted the law, that's case law, and then read up and research in such a way that you can develop and devise a strategy for your clients. Also, creativity. If you look at entertainment lawyers and other lawyers that I like to study who do things like licensing, and even sports agents who some of them have a legal background, they're thinking of creative and strategic ways that they can build out contracts and negotiate in such a way that their clients make money. Not just like, if you go to a lawyer and you're like, oh, draft me this contract. They don't got no edits for the contract. They just writing down what you said. They don't have there's no level of creativity to it. It looks like they just pulled it offline. That's a problem. Like, that's a problem. I don't even like contract templates, but that's a problem. So you want to make sure that they have a certain level of creativity to one, they need vision for their own business. You can look at, this is pretty easy to tell. If everything looks the exact same over the past, however long they've been in business, that could be a signal that the vision is a little blurry. Typically, visionaries grow, change, and expand. You should see some level of growth, change, and expanding even in their own business. That's just a pro tip for me. But creativity, you want to make sure that they are business-minded enough where they aren't looking at the law as the only element to how they're going to advise you. They need to have an understanding that you are a for-profit business, and the legal strategies that they give you are supposed to protect and expand profit. Like, that's what it is. We've restructured contracts for clients, and they've been able, through those restructuring efforts that we've had, to make like 10x their revenue, literally. And you can go, because, I'm going to use this word. I just learned about this no cap word. I'm going to use this. So you can go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/holiday party and hear some of the stories from our clients and how they've been able to utilize some of the strategies that we've provided to actually grow their business as well as protect it in a way that they weren't even thinking about before they came to us. No cap. Boom. I used it. Hey, Attorney Ashley Kirkwood here. And I just wanted to give you a quick plug for your business. If you are a business owner or a brand builder, you have a brand and you've never spoken with an attorney about your brand, or you do not have consistent legal counsel now, I want you to head on over to mobilegeneralcounsel.com and book a legal audit or a consultation with my firm, Mobile General Counsel. We handle federal trademark law nationwide, and we also, I'm barred in Illinois to handle additional matters. So if you are someone who is interested in bulletproofing your brand, protecting your brand, brand, ensuring that your brand is guarded, then you need to go on over to mobilegeneralcounsel.com, click on legal services, and book your legal audit or legal consultation today. You can also call the firm at 312-880-8518 if you have any problems booking online. So I'm super excited to talk to you guys. Let's get back into this episode. So that's where you can go to see that stuff. You all do not know how long I've been wanting to use it. I've seen it everywhere. And I'm like, what is this no cap about? Okay, I digress. So vision is important. Creativity is really important. And it's important from the lens of your lawyer should have business acumen. Okay? They really should. Like, you want them to have some level of business savviness. And so if you're looking at everything that they do and everything that they provide, and even the way they run their business, and you're like, I don't really know what's going on with this, then that may be a sign. So look out for those things. And I say this because there are a lot of people who are trying to figure out how do you analyze an attorney? And so I'll give you all just some general tips on that. So one, you want to go through a consult process, ideally, where you can actually talk to them and find out if you like them. As a general matter, I don't care how good someone is at something. If it's not a good fit, like you don't like communicating with them, you don't trust them, it's just not a good vibe, then that's not going to work. Two, they have to actually be a barred attorney in the state in which you're trying to get legal work done. And three, caveat on that, we handle federal trademark matters nationwide. So there's that. Three, you want to make sure that they are qualified. You can look up their background. You can ask where they've worked before. You can go on their LinkedIn and look up the past firms that they've worked for and kind of see what they did there. You can also look at testimonials or reviews. Some people have publicly posted about their attorney and what they've done for them. You can reach out to those people and ask them like, hey, did you really like working with her? How was it really? I saw you on the website. You can do those things. You can do your due diligence, the same due diligence that you do for coaches. You can do that for your counsel. You can do that for your doctors. You can do that for your accountants. Don't be afraid to do some digging, to ask around. No one's going to be offended by that. I made a comment earlier on a post that was all about, like, can you believe people actually, someone mentioned, like, people reach out to the people that they have on their website to see if their testimonials are authentic and real. People are going to do that. And I think they do that now because there's so many people on the internet and there's so much information coming at all of you that you do want to do some due diligence and some background checking and things like that. So there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with doing that. That's totally fine. And honestly, you know, if someone, I will say this, if you are actually interested in hiring their services, what I don't do, like if it's like another lawyer and like, well, I want to get all the information about, like, you know, sometimes it's like, no, this doesn't make sense. But for the most part, you should be able to fact check what people say. That's not a problem. And no one should have a problem with that. Okay. So that's that. So the three things that we went over is number one, do they ask questions? You want to make sure they're asking the right questions about your business. You're going to use your common sense. Another thing. You all are all smart. You can say, like, I want this in my contract. Is that legal? Can I have this? You can ask questions. You can be involved and engaged in the process. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So don't be afraid. And this is the other thing. Do not let anyone make you feel stupid because you don't have the same degree as them. So, like, if you're hiring an attorney and the attorney is using all these big words and you're like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, you don't know what that means? That's a problem. Like, they should be able to break things down to you in a way that you understand it without making you feel like you're not smart. Like, I hired a tax strategist recently, and I did not know all the strategies that he gave were amazing and they were brilliant. And I was just like, break it down. Like, because he was like, well, there's case law. And I'm like, can you send me the cases? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? And so don't be afraid to be engaged in the legal process. We want you to know enough to be dangerous. Like, you should know, and you should be able to ask enough questions about those contracts that your attorney is drafting so that if someone questions you about it, you know the answer. So don't be afraid of that. So they should be asking you questions, and they should not be mad if you ask them questions. So number two, you have to be able to reach them. If you can never reach someone, but you're paying them, that's a problem. So you want to be able to reach them. Number three, and this is just a personal thing for me, I think is important with anyone that I hire, they need to have vision and they need to have creativity. Okay. So hopefully that's helpful when you're evaluating. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments or let me know. But hopefully this gave you some things to think about when you're hiring attorneys and anyone that you're hiring and paying at a high level, because it's an investment to work with really competent counsel. It just is. So look at that too. If it's too low, you may want to question it. But it is an investment to work with competent counsel. If you're watching this, you do not have a lawyer for your business, you are interested in protecting your federal intellectual property rights, please do reach out to myself at ashleyk@mobilegeneralcounsel.com or go to mobilegeneralcounsel.com or call our firm. And then they can let you know about the process by which to book your legal audit. And I think there's links here for you to do that as well. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. Really appreciate you joining. Feel free to share this if you learned anything that's going to be helpful as you evaluate your business. And one question I'll answer before heading out. Some people wonder, like, when should they get, how do we work with businesses? So we have flat fee legal services, like one-off things that you can buy. But the way that we really work with business and strategize on a high level and do the deep diving that I talked about is we have a consistent counsel package where people are consistently paying us to do a certain amount of legal projects per month. So if you have questions about that, let me know. But at the point that you are making, you're generating revenue in your business, and really before, but I know that it can be a little bit tougher before you've started to generate revenue. But once you're generating revenue in your business, you need to be protecting that revenue, and that involves really a legal, tax, and accounting strategy. So you want to make sure, because people say, I want to hit $1 million, and they say, I want to hit 8 figures and seven figures, 8 figures. I want to do $1 billion in revenue. Like, I want to build a big brand, $1 billion brand. There is not a single $1 billion brand that does not have a general counsel. It just isn't. And our firm is called Mobile General Counsel because we provide that strategic legal business partnership that companies need as they grow. There are some pitfalls in your business that you can get right up to 7 figures, and you can get a lawsuit and it could take that revenue right out. So you don't want to be in that position. You want to at least be aware of what those pitfalls are. Like, you're hiring. What are the contracts for your contractors? What are the contracts for your employees? Where, if someone were to steal all of your stuff today, what does your contract say about that? What are the damages they're opening themselves up to? Do you have to go to court? Do you have an arbitration clause? What laws will apply? Because you may hire contractors from all 50 states. If you're working with people internationally, what is the legal exposure that you have there? If you work with a photographer, do you own the photos or do they? Could they get your Instagram account taken down because those are all their photos and they own the copyrights to them, even though you're in the photo? Like, this stuff goes deep, okay? There are so many things that you all have to be aware of, and I call them business interrupters. These are business interrupters. You're going about your merry way, and then you get a cease and desist because you never got your actual trademark for your business name, but you've generated $500,000 under that business name and someone else owns it. And now they're saying they want all of that. All of that money they want. And so if those things happen, who are you going to call? How long would it take them to get up to speed? And are you comfortable with them representing you? And here's how you know, because I've had people like, well, I don't know if my lawyer is good or not. Think about the coldest lawyer you know, because let me tell you something. When I go to negotiate on behalf of my clients, I go in. Would you feel comfortable with your lawyer sitting across from me and advocating for you as fiercely as I'm going to advocate for my clients? That's the question. Because if you don't have the confidence that your lawyer may be a sweet, nice person, but they can turn up in a minute in a negotiation and they can do it with ease and class and finesse and get what they need for you, then it's a problem. So just because you're a small business does not mean you deserve small service. You can be a small business and get large service. You just need the right service provider. And I don't want you settling for mediocre counsel in any area of your business because you don't think your business is big enough to have a big boy at the table on your behalf. And I use that in a gender neutral way, right? Because obviously I identify as a lady, but those things are critical. So you want to make sure that those things are protected. You need to be protected. You need to be protected. I'm nice. I'm a Christian. I love Jesus, but I will go in on behalf of me and mine. Okay. And so you want to make sure that you have that same ferociousness on your side when you need it. And some of you are nice people. So stay nice, but get counsel that can protect you and that has no problem handling conflict in a way that gets you the result that you need. So those are the things that I'll leave you with. Just because you're a small business, the tweetable of all of this is just because you're a small business does not mean you deserve small service. You absolutely should not settle for small service just because your business is in pre-billionaire status. So if this was helpful to you, please share it, give us a like, drop a comment. Let me know whether or not you have any questions. Feel free to email support@mobilegeneralcounsel.com. I'm technically out of the office until January 4th, but I wanted to do this video because I've just seen some wild things recently. And I think that we don't always get this type of information. I didn't get it when I was hiring my accounting team and my tax preparer. So I was like, I bet people don't have this for their legal services as well. Whether you work with me or anyone else, you're going to need a framework to hire other people. And so I'm very comfortable with you all sharing this far and wide. And it does not matter whether you work with me or another lawyer. You just want to make sure who you have, you're comfortable with and you're good with the service that they provide you. And you can demand the service that you deserve. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for joining. And someone said these are really good questions that you bring up. I am going to do a series of videos answering some of your most commonly asked questions. I have a year-end survey as the link in my bio, and it's also linked on Facebook and Instagram. If you click that link, it says take my year-end survey. And it went out to people who are on my mailing list. But what I'm asking you is what type of content would you like to see? So if you're a business owner and you wanted to, because someone said they wanted to see like 1-minute video clips, easily digestible right to their inbox. We're working on that. So if that's stuff that you would like as well and that'd be valuable to you, just fill out the survey. Let me know the questions that you have, and we'll try to create content around that this year. We're being far more strategic with our content, and I got a new camera, so there's that. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day, guys. Thank you so very much for tuning in to the Ashley Nicole Show yet again. Do me a favor and give this podcast 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Give us a rating. It helps us to continue to bring on excellent guests and information and ensure that we are giving you exactly what you want, exactly what you need. If you want to stay connected with me and join my mailing list, just go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com, click on the Connect with Us tab, and you will see all the links there to join my email list, grab some freebies, and some other cool stuff too. So hopefully you can do all of that, and I will see you guys next time.